Welcome back to The Watch.
We're doing it live again.
We're doing it live. Let us know if you can hear us and the audio's coming through. All right. And I always get confused if I should do, because I don't know, I like the meme. Welcome back to Nightly News.
Welcome back to The Watch. I like that one better.
That one does sound better. It's just, can you do the news reporter thing?
Yeah.
And in the next article, we are looking at The Little Mermaid.
It just makes me depressed though, Shad, the news. I just hate the news. It's never good news.
All right, we have confirmation. Our audio is all good.
Fantastic.
Good to hear. Good to be here. So, do you have any news items that you like to share to kick us off, Nathan?
News items, like personal news or like general
That's
news?
how we always start.
Personal. I went to a game convention last weekend.
You did.
New one in Melbourne, which was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It was very underwhelming. It was very small. But I got videos on it on my own stuff, and hopefully next year it'll be bigger. And I don't know, I would like us to go to conventions one day as Nights
Me
Watch.
too. And I hope we don't get attacked. That's the fear. Sometimes
Yeah.
you can find some really based ones and based people.
Yeah.
And then you get some insane, crazy people. And like, I would love to, try and organize something with PAX. But the organizers of PAX,
They've changed actually.
have they?
The what'd you call the person in charge switched jobs, so we've got a new guy now.
They're better or worse, though. This is like
Don't know.
the head of YouTube changing over. The new guy seems worse by his track record. And I don't know, especially when I went to VidCon, when they were doing VidCon, it was so woke, like crazy woke. And PAX seems to have the same type of panels.
Yeah, actually. And spaces too now. Last year they had a few
Dedicated space.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. We won't go into the gender politics of that because I've got opinions on that we won't go into. But it was cool. I got recognized once. Hello,
Hey.
random viewer, if you're watching. Thanks for saying hi. I may have looked tired, but it was because it's a convention.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was my little fun thing I did.
They are fun. Outside of the big ones like PAX and Comic-Con and stuff, a lot of the ones that people, they are very small.
Yeah.
But need some support and give it a boost.
And the medieval festivals too are always very fun as well.
They're great fun. We're going to try and do Croyle Castle again this year. We might even have a bit of a larger presence. This is for Shadiversity specifically.
Yeah.
But the guys come along with it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so we're hoping to do that again, and that'll be fun. And Croyle Castle is a bit of a smaller one, but not as small as I've been to. But it's nowhere near the big ones either.
Yeah.
Lots of things happening this year for me, in fact, because I'm also planning to go to Europe in September.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be meeting up with Nerdrotic and the Friday Nights Tights crew of whoever can make it there. And we're going to try and do a meetup.
And you can finally see some castles.
It's going to be a dream
You
come
can
true.
walk on some cobblestone roads and
Oh, man. That's going to be great. So in my own, news to share, is my hair is getting crazy. Look at it. Gosh.
you know what my wife said last night?
What?
Because she saw some videos that came up. She goes, Shad needs a haircut.
Yeah, you think?
You don't know his large plan just to grow lovely locks?
Yeah, so this is, I think I've mentioned it. I'm not sure how much on Nightly News, but I'm trying to grow it out at least once in my life to get the medieval kind of look. And it's like, it was really bad. And I think I'm starting to perhaps pass the bad stage to get to the flowy stage. What do you think?
At least your hair's good because your hair parts in the center. So
I
at
know.
least it's like out of your face. My hair kind of droops down, and then that's why I start wearing caps and stuff because it gets everywhere. But
Well, my hair is very poofy and has a lot of volume and waves in it. And so we'll see how it looks as I continue to grow it out. But already, look at it. It's like I can already kind of do that
Prince Charming.
thing. So important stuff happening on those fronts. How are you guys? We can see you in the chat. It says, hey, Shad, remember to visit Poland. You have to see Malbork Castle in person. There are so many castles I want to see. I'd love to see Malbork. We're going to be prioritizing the UK, so England. And though there are some other places, I really have to see Get Along. which is a castle being built in France. And so we might be doing a detour to there. I also hear that there's a huge medieval festival in Germany sometime around September. So I need to find the exact date, and maybe I will take
I mean, the good thing with Europe is that just like for us to get to the city, it takes hours. For them to go countries, it takes half an hour.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there's going to be lots of fun. But we are here doing Nicely News, and there's some interesting things to just discuss, hang out, react to, respond. And so I haven't decided if we're going to do like full reviews on these shows that I have watched recently. Perhaps, maybe. But it's worth talking about at least, because I have watched the first 4 episodes of season 3 of Picard. Mm-hmm. And wow, this is an interesting kind of thing to decide, figure out, talk like, because Picard season 1 and 2, by all accounts of people I trust, is complete and astounding dog crap.
Yeah.
And I have watched parts of episodes because my wife has watched season 1 and 2, and from the parts I even saw was just like, wow, that looks crap.
That bad.
Really bad, really dumb. But then season 3 came out. Season 3, if you don't know, is a bit of a weird anomaly where a new showrunner, I think, got in charge of the thing, who loves Star Trek. And
that's new.
And has listened to all this feedback. And this is all like, hang on, what? Already we're like, we're dealing with a unicorn here. What's going on? But listened to all the feedback and made season 3 ignoring as much as possible from season 1 and 2.
Good.
And the reports were that season 3 is actually good. And so there was so much positive reports of season 3 of Picard that I've given it a go. And holy crap, that show has no business being as good as it is.
That good?
It's friggin' great.
It's so sad that it's the 3rd and final season is like the pinnacle of it.
The amazing thing, right? I haven't seen season 1 and 2, and you don't need to. Like,
okay,
you can ignore it completely and just pretend this is a self-contained follow-on from the next-gen movies, and it's brilliant. And I love it. You don't need season 1 and 2 at all. They do not exist in my canon. This is just the natural follow-on.
That's good news.
It's great
It's
news.
a unicorn, though, like you said.
I know. Like, it's exactly what we have wished and hoped for ages, that people who are in control of making the things that we love listen to the fans.
And actually like this stuff, too. Like you
and
said, he was
like
actual
the
fan.
source material.
Because I feel like every single excuse we've had for bad shows is that they hated the source material and they want to co-opt it to be their own thing instead.
Like what they did with Witcher.
Yeah.
Like the amount of disdain they had for Witcher and how much Henry Cavill fought to be true to the books, true to the characters. They wanted to make the death of his horse, Roach, a joke.
Yeah.
And he fought to like, no, you can't. And so I think he improvised the scene, and it ended up being the best and most powerful scene of the thing, right? And just look at what you can do when someone loves the source material and property versus these people that it's just, they hate it, but they see it as an opportunity as a vehicle for their own, propaganda, because they're not talented enough to make anything good on their own. And then because they can't make anything good, they just make crap anyway. And the propaganda also just makes you check out as well.
Now, as Picard season 3, do you think, ignoring all the other crap we've had to see, is it actually not just average, it's actually legitimately good? Like you said with Maverick, the reason why Talking Maverick was so good is because nothing else had come out.
It's very good.
Okay.
And from episode 4, I even call great. Like, it was so good. There is such clever writing in it that it was just so refreshing to see, where they set up very subtle but important setups and payoffs. So to the point where how they conclude the episode, it wasn't Deus Ex Machina. Everything was properly set up, foreshadowed, and it was really satisfying. And in actual fact, the thing that they did to be able to, win the day was something that I was like, all right, looking at all the options that they have in this situation, what could they do? Well, they could do this, or that. And one of those things I thought was one of the things that they did. And that's good. That's very good. And one of the other things that were just I loved about this episode, and sometimes I guess I get disproportionate appreciation out of small things sometimes, which can skew my enjoyment of something, because I can really, like, if it scratches that itch you've been wanting scratched for ages, when it suddenly gets scratched, you're just like, oh, yeah. Like, it's like that for me, right?
Yeah.
This is why, I had an example. Now it just escaped me. I've lost it, but I can think of other examples, like when swords. I remember it. Rogue One addressed a pet peeve I had for ages, which was
the plans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not only the plans, but why on earth would the Empire make a death machine with such a bogglingly dumb weakness? And people sometimes try and excuse it with it's just bureaucracy and small things. Like, look at the size of the space station. Look at the size of the one photon thing blowing up the entire station. That's more than just like, oops, we forgot to fit this size pipe on something else because the wires got crossed. That was like, no, you could only have that weakness if it was actively engineered into the system. And so it's always bugged me. And then Rogue One actually answers it beautifully. And as a result, I have this appreciation for Rogue One that might be disproportionate to what it really deserves.
I'm the same with Rogue One, where like my appreciation is more than it should be, because I think most of the movie is quite boring. It's at the very end when Vader kicks butt that I'm like, best movie Disney's made of Star Wars. Let's go.
But the battle on the planet is also really fun.
That was also really fun.
There's a lot of
But
good
watching
action.
Vader kick butt for 10 seconds was also really cool.
That was great. That was very cool. And so with episode 4 of Picard, they do a lot of things that are scratching, itches, right? And something that they did that I thought was really creative that I actually haven't necessarily seen in Star Trek, right? So in Star Trek, especially with the primary series, so you look at Next Gen, DS9, and Voyager, right? We're dealing with basically the cream of the crop of Starfleet, the best of the very best. And there's a reason why the crew of the Enterprise became legends, because they ended up doing things that other people couldn't. Yeah. But it did start to get there. There's this pressure, you don't really see the other side of the other Starfleet. You see ships getting destroyed from Incompetence and things like that. But it starts to think are everyone in Starfleet kind of like this? But they do try and show that distinction, like with Captain Kirk and the Kobayashi Maru, whereas there are some people who do not believe in the no-win scenario, that no matter what, you can find a way. And they frame episode 4 episode 4 is named no-win scenario or something like that. Yeah. And something that they do so brilliantly, because minor spoilers, this doesn't ruin the episode, this is just more the setup, right? They're on a starship, and there's only a couple of the next-gen crew on it, and they don't really have command positions.
Right.
And the main crew and leadership of this starship is just run-of-the-mill Starfleet. And you see them, how they operate, by the book and everything like that. And they're just getting their teeth kicked in. And what I love about episode 4, it really shows and demonstrates in a beautiful way the difference and frame of mind between these experienced, really intelligent, but also legends of the next-gen crew and how they notice things, approach problems, stuff like that, versus the regular crew that it showed such a brilliant contrast. And, so that was like a big... I loved that moment. And then, of course, the subtle setups and payoffs, the just very competent, very, very competent writing that frames the episode in a certain way with tying in a special flashback, handling new characters. It's brilliant. It's so good. And people are telling me, who've watched it, that it just gets better. And I'm like, what? Really?
I'm going to have to watch this, I think, now. Because I just need a good show that will... Just a palate cleanser. Because I've been watching lots of Korean shows. And reading subtitles, okay, it takes effort. After a long day, I don't want to read subtitles all day. So watching a Western show that's actually good, that isn't for review of the channel, will be great. So I'm going to watch Picard, I think.
Yeah. And this isn't me saying it's flawless. I do have criticisms for it and pet peeves that come up. And you kind of notice this even at the beginning of episode 1. I don't like... This does seem to be a holdover from season 1 and 2 because they screwed up this character first, and the character continues. 7 of 9. To me, I think they really missed the mark because it's not the character. It's not 7 and 9 for me. Other things, though, where they have to kind of, or they seem like they try and acknowledge season 1 and 2 of Picard, you can actually reinterpret it.
Right.
Like, there's something in regards to Picard and his body that people say is getting attributed to season 1 and 2, but the words, you can just replace that with when he was assimilated by the Borg.
Yep.
That explains the references to his body. And so it's actually, for me, been surprisingly easy to just... Season 1 and 2 don't exist. It's great. It's really good. And so I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to watch episode 5 now.
How many episodes are in the season?
I don't know. I think maybe 9. I can't remember.
That's a good season.
Mm.
I look forward.
So, wow. We got some
good news. Good news and nightly news.
But everything else in Star Trek sucks. Yeah. I tried watching Discovery season 1, and I checked out after a few episodes. It was so bad. And as from Hill's First Babyface, it's some of the things he's told me about other seasons, just like, what? And so what's interesting, it seems like the main guy who has control over Star Trek, right, is just making dog crap.
Yep.
Doesn't understand the property or anything like that. And he was in control of Picard season 1 and 2. It bombed because no one liked it. And then he basically palmed it off to someone else who loves it, right? But that guy who's ruining Star Trek seems to still be in control of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if Paramount had any brains, they would see the vast difference.
Take him away, put in the new guy.
Exactly. And so this is kind of the bizarre thing. I don't think they will. Like, incompetence gets ingrained in these companies and they fail upwards. And I don't know if it's because they're connections, they have dirt on other people.
They're brown-nosing a lot with the execs. They're just like, best buds.
Like, I really think that's why Kathleen Kennedy has not been fired for ages. I think she's got dirt on everyone.
I think so too.
Because she should have been fired, as soon as Last Jedi came out or something. Like, her control over Star Wars has just been a disaster, right? They say she's on the way out.
We've been saying that for like a decade now.
So there has been, this is maybe a segue into Star Wars now, because I've also watched The Mandalorian.
Okay.
And it's bad. Okay. Oh, yeah, it's really bad, actually. Because people, you look for hope. And there was this interesting little thing that happened that rumor, this is all rumor, what I'm about to say, had Kathleen Kennedy a bit peeved. The intro to Mandalorian, right, has the Star Wars helmets flickering out. There's a conspicuous lack of a certain helmet in it that was always present in other ones. Do you know which one?
Is it Kylo?
Kylo Ren's helmet isn't there. It's like, If my heart wasn't dead and my soul just dead,
Given up,
all right. You could interpret that as like, are they trying to move away from the sequel trilogy? But Mando season 3 is so bad.
See, I've only seen the first one, and I actually didn't see the second one because the first one was so boring.
I don't really see it. I was able to enjoy the first one for disproportionate things. My same weird thing. I found season 1 really refreshing for its production values, like having that level of production values in a TV show. So I was enjoying just looking at the spaceships, right? I really enjoyed Baby Yoda. He's cute as hell. You can't deny that.
He's funny. Good balance of comedy and seriousness.
And I found the first few episodes of Mandalorian actually pretty good in season 1. And then I was able to just enjoy the rest of it, even though the rest it gets pretty bad in season 1. Season 2 was a dumpster fire. It was just bad. And now this season 3 is I've watched the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian. I think the third one is out at the moment. Haven't watched the third one yet. Oh, so the first episode was like nothing happens, basically.
Nothing. If you'd watch Boba Fett and you're like waiting for stuff to happen, episode 1, nothing happens. And that's what got me mad, because I know in season 2, the thing that was most annoying was that the whole plot of season 2 was get Grogu to a Jedi. And then for the whole season, you don't get Grogu to a Jedi. You go deliver eggs. You go babysit. Like nothing actually happened through all season 2 till the very end. The very end. The last episode, you're like, oh, now it's going to get good.
Look,
and then it ends.
Luke showed up, kicked ass. That was great.
It was great. But every other episode, like, I
mean, the face thing was a bit weird. And
what I usually do with because my family loves Star Wars, I will watch or review these shows, and then I'll get family to come over, and I'll skip all the filler for them. And for season 2, it was like first, second, fifth, the last one, boom, done. And they're like, that was really short. I'm like, yeah, we skipped like 5 episodes because nothing happened. And season 3, I felt the same way. Like, it was cool opening with the whole. I mean, I still have issues with when they're making the little kid's helmet, and then the way they make armor in Star Wars makes no sense. How do you make a helmet from this like flat round plate of steel?
Well,
Beskar.
I don't have issues. My issue is the crocodile attack.
Yeah, that too.
That was so astoundingly bad. And like, if you really want to show how unbelievably incompetent Mandalorian warriors are,
just watch that.
Just watch that. It's just like you're there. I was wondering how the Empire wiped, the Mandalorian coven out in like season 2, was it? I can't remember. Well, after watching that, I was like, okay, they probably just shot themselves because they're.
Wasn't good. And then like the rest of the episode for the first episode was just him going around to everyone, I'm going to go to Mandalore. I'm going to go to Mandalore. Guess what, guys? I'm going to Mandalore. Me and Grogu, we're going to go to Mandalore. And it ends with, we're on Mandalore.
And none of it made sense. It's like, what? No one sent down a drone or a probe to test the atmosphere, like, periodically? Like, Catan lady, whatever her name is, she's on a planet she's in the same system.
On a throne by herself.
Sitting doing nothing. And no one bothers to check. You don't have long-range sensors or anything. And now it's just like, it was just so dumb. There's layers of dumb. And some of them, again, annoy me more than what probably annoys others. But I actually feel this one is more fundamental because it's the driving plot of season 3. And that's him needing to redeem himself, right? And he has to bathe in the waters of Mandalore, right? I like religion. I'm very religious, and I've studied religion, and there are trends and patterns in religious practice and stuff like that make sense that you see people adopt because of society, customs, other things. And sometimes people think that weird religious customs don't make sense, and when you go back and you have a look at them, and some can seem really bizarre. But when you look at the underlying logic behind it, there's validity to it, right? And it can be explained really well. And so they have a religion, right? And already, the never taking off the helmet thing, I'm like, I mean, that one does fall into some of the same areas in past, there was this Greek religion where you never walk on grass or something like that. And so, look, there's been some bizarre ones that seemed impractical. The helmet thing's pretty. It's very hard to eat with a helmet on, right?
I think it was more of no one else can see your face.
Yeah, good point. But that one is you're able to actually do that. Okay, they have a redemption practice, right? That, to their understanding, is literally impossible to achieve. Yet they are still holding people to that standard. And you took off your helmet. Oh, you can't bathe in the waters. You're screwed now.
Yeah.
It's like that. No. You can't tell me they're that dumb to hold. What would naturally happen is that, one, just a physical act to achieve redemption usually isn't the thing. Usually it's like a spiritual thing. When I say physical act, you can pledge to do certain things, okay? Say the rosary so many times and stuff like that. But tying it to a specific location that, when the location is gone, you're screwed now, right? No. Even when you look at holy locations in religious, practices and stuff, they usually have multiple holy locations that you can do pilgrimages to multiple things. To either as a penance for your sin or for an act of devotion or anything like that. And then also, religious practices do change and evolve depending on practicality and feasibility. And so Mandalore got destroyed. They would have resettled somewhere, had a new holy site, maybe a site of a great battle that had on another planet or something like that to make it possible for people to still achieve redemption. But they're like, nah, you're screwed. And I'm just like...
Especially this point in their cult, as other people are calling it, of like, they're smaller numbers, they're trying to recruit people, and you've got this really powerful Mandalorian who has the dark saber, and you're like, you can't join us. There's no way to redeem you. Get lost. Like, as the leader, you might think, this person, this Din Djarin guy's pretty powerful.
You're a bit thin on numbers. Have you not noticed that?
Yeah. And she's like, no, you took off your helmet and didn't even get context to it of like, it was Grogu, this child I love, or it was like, I had to save this, took him home. No explanation. It's just took it off. Okay. You're banished. Get lost.
And the other thing is, if you actually want to be a bit more honest about religious practices in the past and things, you look at it, usually even very devout practitioners were willing to kind of fudge the certain practices for the growth and spreading of the good word and stuff like that. Like in the medieval period, they were really into religious relics and stuff. And most were forgeries.
Right.
But no, this is definitely the skull of St. Peter, right? Yeah. And so they like... I'm not excusing. This is bad, right? But by the way, it shows that they're willing to basically, for the growth of the faith, right? They're even higher ups are willing to do certain things that I would say is probably dishonest. You shouldn't do that. Not probably, it was, but they did it, and if their people are basically going on the verge of extinction, and it would be more realistic for that, forging lady to go, the waters of Mandalore? Turns out it wasn't on our planet. She's like, these waters over there, when some Mandalore something did, pissed in a river, right?
Now it's sacred.
It's sacred. You're like...
Or you could be like, oh, you got the dark saber? So now you're like king of Mandalore?
Yeah.
All right, that makes you redeemed.
Or you can redeem whoever gets touched by the thing.
There's so many other... the religious side of that's really confusing.
It's so dumb, yet it's actually the driving plot point of the whole season.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking, this is stupid.
And that's another thing too, right? When he does go to Mandalore and bathe in the waters, then what? He's going to rebuild Mandalore? But
you know what? The other thing that frustrates about me, often redemption kind of actions, right, needs to reflect the person has fixed the thing that caused their fall from grace, their great sin, right? And so with Christianity, it's a broken heart, contrite spirit, confessing what your sin was, promising to never do it again. And then, it's a very personal and sacred thing, but it's about change and fixing the thing that caused the stuff, right? This redemption practice is so retarded because... basically means I can take off my helmet whenever I want. All I need to do is go in the water and I'm back to normal. Yeah. And it's it doesn't enforce or cause people to have to change of heart to maintain the practice, right? It's like, if they really wanted to try and deter people from taking off their helmets, I don't know, some type of penance or penalty where every time you take off your helmet, you get a brand on your face or something like that to make you really don't want to take it off. But if you endure the pain and sacrifice for the oath, the creed, you have shown your worthiness and you will be redeemed for your great sin. I doubt, just thematically and logically, makes more sense, right? But what they have here is just dumb because any guy takes up just have a dip in a lake and I'm fine,
Exactly. And part of me is that just Hollywood's opinion of religion? That you just do these practices and then therefore you're redeemed in somewhat. There's no actual spirituality to it. Because the thing is too, they say it's a cult, but I just feel like it's a club.
Yeah.
It's not even religious at all.
What is the goal of their religion?
And there's no drive. I feel like Din Djarin's I'm just part of them because they saved me back in the Clone War era. There's no
It pisses me off. What is the goal of their religion? Religions always have a goal. Usually it's achieving exaltation in the afterlife or something. Nothing of that is mentioned. It's just their goal is to wear helmets.
Be bounty hunters.
And have weapons.
Yeah.
Weapons are a part of their religion. Why? Flesh this world building out so he can be invested in it. Nothing. And so it's just dumb. The Mandalorian religion is retarded. and I'm not invested, and it's just like, because they're driving the plot forward with this stuff. It's important, and it's just stupid.
I agree. I just wish there was more of an overarching theme or things that I knew were going to be like, is there going to be a giant battle with the old empire?
Wouldn't that be great? Like if they had some type of battle myth like in Norse mythology where you have to become the greatest warrior to prepare yourself for an afterlife battle. And so Norse mythology, it was Ragnarok, right? And so the greatest warriors die with a weapon in your hand. Really like thematic, meaty kind of warrior religion that then could understand why being a warrior, weapons, is so important. They got none of that. There's no mention of anything like that in Mandalorian. And so, again, it's just stupid as a result. And this is separate to just all the other stupid in the thing. Like him no one sending a drone down to test, if Mandalore was not toxic in the... And you'd think it wasn't toxic for a good while then, if it's cleared up.
Yeah. It hasn't just suddenly become, it's all clear now, it's all good to go. It's probably been like that for who knows how many years.
And the fact that he had to go to the lady to find out where the waters of Mandalore was. It's like that. What, you have no record that just says it's underneath, X location?
No scripture?
Like, how did she find out? She just knew. Well, she actually lived on the planet, so that makes a bit more sense.
Still.
While we're just riffing on the Mandalorian religion, here's another weird thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their recruitment seems to be brainwashing children.
Or kidnapping children.
Or kidnapping children. And, like...
You're right. Like, you don't see any adults being...
converted
into Mandalore.
It's like, Mandalore, you had a point. I'd like to wear a helmet for the rest of my life. Yeah. Really inconvenient.
I don't get their practices.
I think there was this other big plot. Like, I think there was a point when Mandalorian was, he was starting to suffocate, or something happened where it was underground or it was in water or something that was suffocating in the previous season. I can't remember the exact one, but I really think it happened somewhere. And in this season, turns out he can just like he has an internal breather on his helmet and just turn it on.
No, I remember they're on a boat. And they go to steal Grogu, and he jumps in the water to save him.
That's right!
And the monster gets him.
The monster gets him, and he's like underwater, and he's drowning. Oh no, he's drowning. And when I was watching that, I was like, wouldn't his helmet have a breather?
That's what I thought.
But no, and now he does.
I'm so mad at
that. This freaking show.
See, it's simple things like that that gets me.
They have so little care and regard for their own show and writing that they don't even be consistent with their own show in the previous season, let alone contradicting canon to the larger Star Wars story. Incompetence is just extreme in this. And so there are all these problems, right? It's like he needed a droid to
look after Grogu, wasn't it?
Well, no, he said he needed the droid that could... Was it it's not? It wasn't spelunking, but it was something that it was like it could do base jumping. I don't know, do something, right? But then it turns out he didn't need that because he just has an astromech droid, and the astromech droid, all it needed to do was to test the atmosphere. You probably don't need an astromech droid for that.
You don't even need a droid for that.
Your ship should be able to censor how livable the environment is.
Yeah.
Like you're in your ship, it's like test the atmosphere. Does it have a breathable? Like ships should have that capability, but he needs an astro. It's all dumb, and these are large plot points that's driving the episode forward, where he has to go out of his way to get a robot. The robot doesn't come alive. Suddenly, he can't shoot the thing in the head when it's 2 feet away from him.
And we spent half the first episode trying to resurrect the other robot that died.
Yep.
But he didn't even need a robot.
He didn't even need it in the end of it. It's all stupid. And now there's pirates in Star Wars, and when I say pirates, hold up for a second. I don't mind about space pirates, like people committing acts of piracy. No. When I say there's pirates in Star Wars, I mean army hearties wearing just a corp jackets and got in canes. No, they've got pirates in Star Wars. And they actually dress them up like pirates. It was so dumb.
I'm just really mad because they're going to add more and more things into Star Wars. In Boba Fett, we had the little moped bike thingies that were meant to be like a street gang, which were the worst thing ever to Star Wars since the Christmas special. But then the pirates as well.
I forced myself to go back to Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett.
I'm so sorry.
To watch the filler Mandalorian episodes. Which were unironically the best part of the whole season with a different character. And the Mandalorian episodes in Boba Fett were way better than the episodes in Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah.
Like, I actually found them mildly enjoyable with him needing to get a new spaceship and having like a lightsaber fight and the fact that the Darksaber is really hard for him to use. It's got this weird weight thing that is struggling. I actually all found that fun and interesting. But that was in Boba Fett. It wasn't even Mandalorian.
I just have so many questions about the future of this this series, because I don't know where it's leading to. Like, I think of, especially with Star Wars, okay, you know that Luke is going to have to either defeat or overcome Vader in the original trilogy. And, you know, Anakin's going to turn and we're going to see that journey there. Sequels had the same issue. Like, I don't know where this is going. Like, they kept, like, foreshadowing things that never happened. And then the same thing's happening with The Mandalorian now, where it's like, I think a good example is Harry Potter. We know at the end, Harry has to confront Voldemort. That, for everything that's wrong with Harry Potter, at least it had a end goal.
Yes.
With The Mandalorian, I have no idea what we're leading to.
What does he want? Is he trying to bring back the Mandalorian people? Or just be bounty hunter? What is his life? It's lost.
Yeah.
And he's just going around. At the moment, it's to redeem Mandal or redeem himself. And it seems like, from the end of episode 2 at least, that, I don't know, like they're bringing in the lady Mandalorian. But, oh man, episode 2. Have you seen episode 2?
I haven't yet, but if it's bad, you can just spoil it for me. I don't care.
Gosh. Like, he was already looking pretty incompetent in a lot of areas, right? And I tried to play devil's advocate. I think, was it in season 1? I can't remember, with the EFAP crew, right? Because I did enjoy season 1, and I think there were areas where you could give a more, I guess, fair, well, not fair, but generous interpretation. If you're going to be hypercritical in one way, let's try and be strong-maned in the other way. And I thought there were some levels of incompetence that you could excuse. Season 2 just... And now season 3, it's just like episode 2, the entire episode seemed to frame at how insanely incompetent Din Djarin is. Like, useless. And then you have this kick-ass boss girl come in, save his life more than once, and it's mostly due to his own incompetence. Like, like, spoiler for this, but this is just hilarious. I gotta share this, right? He gets to the waters of Mandalore, right? Is walking in, bathing in the thing, and to bathe, he takes off his jetpack, and not everything though. He's still got the other. He's walking in, and as he walks, then he just sinks. And when he sinks, I mean, like, there is a cavern underneath, like, that he falls into, and he is just sinking like a stone, and he would be dead, completely dead, if the lady Mandalorian wasn't there. She has to jump in
and save him,
jetpack him down, because he's just unconscious, he's just gone, right? As a jetpack down, grab him and save his life and bring him back out. And it's just like, dude, you're not watching where you step. You walk into a sinkhole and you...
So, and as well, like, it's not like as soon as you submerge yourself in water, you're unconscious.
Exactly.
You'd still be conscious. You could probably swim off that, but
he walks off like a ledge into a sinkhole. So what? You don't lean back or grab your arm on the side or anything. You just straight down.
Try to swim up.
I take off your armor to save your life, maybe. You know,
he has a hook thingy too. You could probably hook something, and you got gadgets on that belt.
Yeah, the hook. But no, suddenly he's unconscious. She goes out, saves his life. She has like this moving experience because she sees something that's related to Mandalorian lore. I'll try and avoid spoilers where I can. But it means nothing to me. And for her, it's like, so what? Okay? And Mando didn't even see it. He was unconscious. But it's just like, you're such an incompetent buffoon. And it's like they went out of their way to make her look so great. Yeah. And there's one point he gets captured, and so he tells Grogu, go get, Bo-Katan. And then it's like time freezes for him. And Grogu has to go all the way to this other planet, get Bo-Katan, come back. And
Another planet? Or
other planet in the same system, but it's still on another planet, right? And it comes back, and the thing that's captured him seems to have only picked up what it was intending to do from the last scene, and it's like nothing. Like there was this long space of time to happen. He should be dead. But it's like the robot said, I am going to wait the exact amount of time that is required for you friends to come and rescue you. And only when they're just starting to arrive am I then going to continue my nefarious plan. It's comically dumb. And certain problems that Mando ran into when he was trying to sneak into this place, Bo-Katan just comes in like a boss, sees it straight away, and takes him out easy. It's just like, holy crap. The whole episode is just like, whatever level of testicles he had left, Bo-Katan was like, thanks, I'm taking those. Here's my pocket, and I'll show you how it's done, basically. Yeah. It was painful in how bad it was. Mandalorian Season 3 so far.
I don't think Jon Favreau is a good writer.
He must have had help on Iron Man. The first time.
He directed it.
So he must. Yeah, you're right. He's probably got interesting directing chops because The Lion King is like, I don't know how much of a great director he is, but if his whoever wrote this is just like, what? Go back to school. This is amateur stuff. If you were to translate the events and story and plot of this into like a manuscript for a short story or novel. You'd look at it and you'd reject it on the first page. You're just like, it's amateur hour.
I just want more people to make Star Wars. I wish it wasn't so gate-kept of like, okay, this is Jon Favreau's thing, Dave Filoni, Kathleen Hazard thing. Like, give more people, like with Picard, give like one good showrunner his show and see how well it performs. And don't even talk to me about, what's that one I always forget about? The one that everyone's so passionately in love with.
In Star Wars?
In the new TV show with what's-his-face, the forgettable character guy.
Hang on. Are you talking about Last of Us?
No, in Star Wars.
In Star Wars.
It was after I've forgotten it. You reviewed it. It was really boring. The first 2 episodes.
Hang on. Is it the animation?
No, the live-action one. With the guy from Rogue One.
Andor.
Andor. I'm not including Andor because it's not real Star Wars.
Well, that's it.
No lightsabers.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm on board with that view of it. I don't mind shows that's willing to explore different areas within the Star Wars universe. I get that it's not the classic thematic style of Star Wars, which is Jedi, it's dark and light, good and evil. So I get that. But at the same time, I find the Star Wars universe once upon a time so interesting and diverse that you could spare the time to explore different pockets of it.
Yeah.
And this isn't me saying that I think Andor is good. I think it's the best things Disney Star Wars has made since maybe just ever. But I still think it's boring and misguided and very pointless because they achieve what you were expecting the show to achieve at the end of the season. You were expecting him to have gotten that in the second episode. But there were interesting things in Andor, but then they just dragged it out, and yeah.
Disney loves doing that with their TV shows, I think. Like, that was the thing. I remember Disney being like, we're going to make movies, but for TV. And it was really cool. And Mando Season 1 was basically that. It felt like a Star Wars movie in TV form. But now I feel like they're just like burning their money by just making everything so long. And
And there are people who like Andor, and so I like to acknowledge that there are people that like it. But I think that for me, the thing that really kind of confirms my views on that is the first 3 episodes. And even people who like it say you need to get to episode 3. You could almost skip the first 2 episodes or something. And there are interesting things even in the first 2 episodes, but they're like little points in a larger, drawn-out bore fest.
Yeah.
And you could condense the first 3 episodes into one tight, contained, interesting and fun episode. But those first 2 episodes have such, in my opinion, inexcusable filler. There is one, sequence where you see a character leave where she's going, walking down streets, interacting with people, sneaking through something else, all the way to get to a a phone machine that does a coded phone call. And they spend all this time just watching her walk through a street. To me, that's inexcusable filler. I was like, come on. There is like setting the feel of the world, and sometimes they do it right. Like there's a flashback with kids where they see like this mind out thing, like good scene. Like it's thematic, it gives you the feel and everything. So I'm not saying you can't have like scenes that are just there for world building, but when you drag that out, it will just take so long. And there was so much of that in episode 1 and 2. It's like, no, we're in incompetent filler territory at this point. But anyway, those are some views on Andor.
And Mandalorian in general, I think it's just going to suffer the same thing for the next couple of seasons.
But I understand why people like Andor, because there are things to like in it. I just feel everything in between is...
Just give me more Tales of the Jedi, please.
And also, like, one of the most uninteresting things in Andor is the main character, Cassian Andor. He only gets mildly interesting halfway through the season. Even then, is a wet rag of a character. Come on, it's just...
I get people say Luke sometimes was a bit boring as well, but I feel like at least he had some personality and character.
He had personality!
And he had an arc for him.
Oh, man. If anyone is trying to say that Luke is as boring as Andor, I got a bridge to say, because holy crap, man. Come on. No way. Not even a chance. Luke had personality. Sometimes whiny, but I was going to go get some burners. But, Luke was cool. We like Luke.
And he was just a kid stuck on a farm. I would probably be the same thing as well.
He had personality, when he gets captured by Jabba and, it's like, Han's like, how are we doing? Same as always, that bad, huh? And so he had a bit of snark and sarcasm to him, which, by the way, is completely void in the interpretations of Luke in Boba Fett and wherever you see him. Now he's a plank of wood because they don't know how to ride him. Luke had personality and character, right, in the original trilogy easy, but now they've stripped him of anything apart from, I'm a Jedi Master.
Yes, I wear black.
I wear black. You need to choose if you want to do the way of the Jedi or the way of the Mandalorian. Star Wars is dead.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is why I want to make a new Star Wars. It'll take a while before I'm able to push things into action with my sci-fi space opera in the vein of Star Wars, but trust me, I'm doing it. I'll do it. So, last kind of topic to talk about recently. This one is, oh wow. If you wanted just another nail in the coffin for Disney doubling, tripling down, not learning a thing, look no further than the Little Mermaid remake. It is the same slop all over again, where it is wokeified to the extreme, okay? And anyone who doesn't like it is a sexist racist. That's their defense. It's the same thing all over again.
Do we have an article?
We have an article to go through, and some of the things they say are just wild. And you find out some of the changes that they're trying to defend. Like, for instance, in the classic Little Mermaid, when, the dad, Triton, he says, he's a human, you're a mermaid. And her response is, but Daddy, I love him. Right? That classic line. That's problematic. Why is that problematic, do you think, Nathan?
To love a man is problematic?
It's for a girl to be infatuated in love with a man. Like, seriously?
I wasn't actually ready for that one. Other stuff I was, I don't know, something about race or something about different, mermaid people have some sort of comparison to real world politics, but I wasn't expecting them to attack traditional romance.
That's just
like that bad.
To have like a girl being infatuated with a man, like, no, problematic. Like, girls can't be. It's the guy have to be infatuated with her, then there has to come on bended knee and ask permission for every single thing. Is it okay if I hold your hand? I would like to kiss you now. Would you? Do you have permission for me to kiss you?
But the funny thing too though, is like they say that's the politics that they push. But I've also seen those same people being like, you shouldn't ask, you should just do it. Because they want to cancel you. They want to get you in trouble. They're like, don't ask. That's not very manly of you.
Well, this new version of, romance in the Me Too era is dead, like dies. Everyone hates it, right? But then guys don't want to risk anything because of getting potentially Me Too'd, but girls do like to get romance. They like to be pursued and be seen as a thing to be valued, unless it's a guy they don't like. If it's a guy they don't like that's pursuing them, then it's stalking. But if it's a guy that's hot... I'm actually referencing a girl who said that to me. We were watching, I think it was Les Mis, and in Les Mis, it was the one with Hugh Jackman.
Yep.
There's a guy he's got eyes for a girl, and he is following her, and he's giving her the looks, and we're watching it with a girl, and I turned to her and said, "So, would you find that stalkerish or not?" And she said, "If he's that cute, no."
I think this is short. Wong Fu did, where the girls are like, "Yeah, Daniel, he found out where I worked. He bought me flowers and he met me at my car and gave me a gift. But Greg, the stalker, he's tracked me down and he broke into my car." Like the perspective just warps as soon as they do or don't like you.
Mm-hmm. But it's on the guy to pick up on those cues early on.
Yeah.
You should. I think it's perfectly fine to try and find out if they might be interested in you. Have a look and see if there's a look back, a smile, or other things as well.
And you maybe don't go extreme to start off with. Yeah. You maybe ask them on a date, see if they want to talk to you.
Exactly.
And then once they're interested, that's when you start doing the big gestures of romance. You don't, you got to two-way street.
Yes. But this is the thing. This, the natural course of romance is something that's not only been understood, but has been written about in stories and literature for ages.
Centuries.
And it is something that every individual needs to learn as they grow up and they start to be interested, in romantic kind of pursuits. And then you learn about the best ways to try and woo a woman or a woman to, and it's interesting. Usually it's the man that needs to do the wooing, and that's traditional. That's good. I think it's good. It's fine for a girl to be interested in a guy and to pursue them as well. And that was actually one of the key things that helped me see that my wife was the one, because all these other girls that I was interested in, where I tried to pursue, it felt like I was trying to put in too much effort to win their interest. And they would go out on a date with me and everything, but it always felt like I was having to force too much. When I met my wife, she was as interested in pursuing me as I was in pursuing her. It was just, things moved as a result.
Yes.
And so you learn about those things. But anyway, going back to The Little Mermaid, so much traditional romance is all problematic and vile, and they're so desperate being called out by crazy people on Twitter that they will upend one of the most classic romances around.
And just so much of it is an issue as well. They're changing. They have a different actress acting as Little Mermaid now.
We've said this again and again, and I'm going to say it again. It's not about race, okay? It's about seeing the character that has been pre-established and you have the image in your head be reflected that way in a live-action adaptation, okay? I would be just as pissed off if they changed Blade from the comic books into a white guy, right? I want to see the character there. And the key thing, and we mentioned, because sometimes you can get away with a race change like they did with Kingpin in Daredevil. If the key and most important iconic kind of visual identifies the character remain true. I am of the preference that I like all the visual identifiers to remain as true as possible. And I love it because when you see it's instantly them. But if you want to try, the Kingpin one is interesting, right? Because they explained it in the perfect way possible when I was watching the special features. They wanted to find an actor who had the stature that Kingpin is often shown and depicted in the comic books. And suddenly that does reduce the options of the actor you pick massively. And one of the only actors, probably the only actor that I could think of at the time that could come close to that stature was it Michael Dorn or someone Dorn? But that was the name of the actor. And he's huge. And they said, we're willing to sacrifice that bit of accuracy to the character, have his, the color of skin change, to be more true to the most important thing about the Kingpin, which is his size. And when I was like, of course, good pick. And he did great as Kingpin, okay? And so sometimes there are rare circumstances where you need to sacrifice a bit of accuracy of the visual look of the character because you don't have many options with the actors who can probably fill the role. It's not the case with Little Mermaid or so many of the changes now.
Well, because I think their defense would be that she's a singer. And so at least in this musical, she can sing. But I also know there are a lot of other singers that look more like Ariel.
Yeah. And it's much more easy to dye someone's hair red who has, let's say, the complexion that matches that hair color than complexions that don't. And I'm sure you could find many actresses that could nail the singing, and even if they don't have the hair color that matches, you could probably fix that. People, I'll just end this off. People find it a bit more problematic when you change the tone of someone's skin to match a certain character than their hair.
It's a movie, okay? If you get someone who looks like Ariel and then get someone else to do the voiceover for the songs, that's fine too.
Yeah.
I think we're at this point now where, like, it's all auto-tuned anyway, so no one cares about the music in terms of like it being traditionally sung.
And holy crap, sometimes you want to, because the actress who played Belle in the
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson, you didn't want her doing the singing in that movie, but they stuck with it.
And the auto-tune is very clear. You can really hear the...
Yeah, they definitely should have dubbed the music portions of that with someone with a stronger voice. And they've done it in the past, by the way. Like, they even did in animations. The music portions in The Lion King, it's someone else doing the singing, the actual voice actor in the regular parts.
Yeah.
And so, of course, you know...
I guess because I've been going to musicals recently, and the amount of effort and talent it goes to perform music like that live, and like I know Little Mermaid has had that. It would be awesome to see some of those actors and actresses actually get involved in the movie as well, because they obviously have the competence to do it.
And so something that frustrates me about the changes with the visual look of Ariel here is that they didn't even get her hair right. Because they've changed an important visual characteristic, and she doesn't have, the same natural hair, they've had to... She's wearing she's got dreadlocks at parts like that. It's like, you look at this character and you don't even identify her as Ariel. And they've tried to, red hair on darker skin isn't a more common, natural occurring thing. And so that also throws you. And it's just like, one of the key visual identifying features of Ariel is her red flowing hair and how it flows in the water, and she has this really distinctive fringe that curls around, right? And so... even if you're going to change certain other things, I reckon the hair is one of the most important things, but it would look too wrong because the skin tone doesn't match the hair tone, which is why it's particularly problematic to change her race as the character, because then so much other things change and she doesn't look like the character anymore. And that's what we want. We don't care that, there are black characters or white characters. We care about them matching what they need to do. And this racism thing is just tiresome and bullcrap. We've called it out again and again because there are thousands of black characters we friggin' love. And sometimes race changes do work. Like Nick Fury, don't have a problem with it. And especially because Samuel L. just can bring so much personality. Because this is the thing. There was a previous Nick Fury movie and David Hasselhoff played Nick Fury. And look, if you want to give me the two options between David Hasselhoff and Samuel L. Jackson, out of which ones could really give punch to the Nick Fury character, I think I'll take Samuel L. Jackson. The other thing, right? The main visual identifying feature of Nick Fury is the eye patch.
Yeah.
Skin tone isn't as much of a thing. With Ariel, because red hair is biology, what skin tone usually comes with really strong red ginger hair?
I think of a certain island.
Yeah, so suddenly changing the skin tone messes up your visual connection to the character vastly more than, say, Nick Fury or the Kingpin. And so I do not see Ariel at all when I look at this. This is not the Little Mermaid. Yeah. It's this skin suit wearing imposter saying, I'm Ariel, they love me.
I think it also, whenever they do this, I see a red flag of this show or movie is going to be awful, because I think of Kenobi, and they had that one black actress, and they used her as a shield
to the criticism.
Every criticism. And so I've looked at screenshots of this movie, and ignoring everything to do with Ariel and herself, it looks really bad.
It does, doesn't it? Like
the
fishes and that crab.
It's the Lion King all over.
But also, the connection between her fish half and her other half looks like they don't mesh. Like, there are so many other things that did it so much better in live action, where the scales kind of slowly thin out as it comes up to the bottom, where this just...
I'm thinking of, like, there's this Australian show called H2O that was on, like, ABC back in the day. Oh no, Cleo! This, like,
Unironically looks better
than what Disney can put up with.
and this is a low budget, like, what, ABC show or something?
Early 2000s Australian television. Look it up. H2O, better mermaid than The Little Mermaid.
Oh, wow, you're right. Disney is just...
It doesn't look good. Also, the ocean.
The other thing that is just, as someone who appreciates history, that throws me out of everything, in this time period, in this region, all right, there were certain racial beliefs, assumptions, preferences that were a bit more prominent historically than say, modern day. And is this like, what region is Little Mermaid based in the kingdom? Is it like Norwegian or...
I think it's
Finnish? Somewhere around there. It's like, it's European, and I think it's like northeastern European region, somewhere around there. But anyway, I just have a feeling that, a girl who gets washed up on the seashore, who has darker skin, might not necessarily been treated the same way historically as someone who had a bit more pale skin. I'm just saying, like, this is history, right?
But are they trying to erase that? I feel like I feel like that's something they wouldn't want to forget either.
Yeah, I don't know. They want to pretend that history was just... They made Anne Boleyn black, for crying out loud, okay? So they want to rewrite history. I don't understand why. It's like, because if you did this kind of cultural vandalism to other cultures, like African cultures, Asian cultures, everything, where you literally gave historical figures and switched their race to white, they would cry friggin' murder.
Yeah.
But if it's got a white, heritage or history, they're allowed to piss on it and to just vandalize it and just abuse what the actual historical, record and state and actual historical people were, because there's a disbalance of how they can treat, one cultural heritage versus other cultural heritage. It's the hypocrisy just
seeps through.
And so, it just seems odd when you see her interacting with, say, the prince and other people, and you're just like thinking, wouldn't people, but Disney, they don't have the balls to do that. They're going to pretend it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Because they have, and the whole idea, they'll be going down this line is like, now people will be able to identify with the character, which is such a racist notion, because that's implying I shouldn't be able to identify with people that don't look like me. And that's insane. I've been watching a Korean show recently called Physical 100. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that one, no.
It's on Netflix, and it's just these insanely ripped, mostly Koreans. There's one or two kind of like white guy or black guy that lives in Korea, and they're there, but most of them are Koreans, and they are just ripped to insane levels. And it's a physical contest show, and you identify with the struggles. Like, I don't need them to look like me.
Yeah,
and the notion that you have to have someone with the same skin tone or nationality to identify with them on a human level is utterly racist. But that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying now little girls will be able to identify with Ariel. So what you're saying, little girls shouldn't be able to identify with the frog one that they did?
Yeah.
The Princess and the Frog one that has the black princess? My daughter loves that. But that's what they're saying. It's such a disgustingly racist defense, and that's what they're doing once again here. It's like, we had to make the change so, little black girls can suddenly identify. You racist, because now you're just trying to encourage white people not identify with black characters in reverse.
Exactly. They're trying to make us seem more racist.
Yeah. This literally makes the world more racist because it's trying to encourage people to be more race conscious, to treat people differently according to the color of their skin, and literally to only really connect and feel a kinship with people of the same skin tone. That's insane! That's like White Hood level crap, and it's coming from Disney. I can't believe it. Oh, my goodness. So, shall we get to this article? It came on my radar from Disparu, who looked at it, and oh wow! I'm not sure we'll be able to get through the whole thing, but this is from a Global Citizen. 5 reasons every global citizen should watch The Little Mermaid 2023 trailer. So it's not even a movie, the trailer.
Watch the trailer.
Oh wow! So.
A wonderfully diverse cast is one header.
Classic tale, story of love, great writing.
It's like the Eternals all over again.
It's like, it's because it's diverse, which means if you don't watch it, you're a bigot. The casting directors didn't just sprinkle in 1 or 2 people of color in the smallest roles available to fill a quota. Oh no! They fill their cast with incredibly talented actors who have always deserved shine.
I like how they say they didn't fill a little bit to fill the quota. They filled everyone to fill the quota.
If you think this is a little woke, no, this is insanely woke, and that means you really have to watch it, because if you don't, you're a bigot. Oh gosh. So, number 2, it's a story about unity, not just love. So far, things seem very divisive with the promotion and the way that they're handling a classic, Northern Eastern European tale. Like Little Mermaid has distinctive cultural heritage to it, okay? But also, it's supposed to be a love story. Fundamentally, it's like basically saying we are subverting the very core, important theme of Little Mermaid.
They're putting love to the wayside for the story about unity.
Oh my goodness! So now, hear us out. There's nothing wrong with love, unless you do it the wrong way. Because if you do any of the romance the wrong way, we will cancel you. Okay. She knew nothing about him except the fact that he was a good-looking human being. Okay. All right. Hold up. Yeah. At first there was the classic Little Mermaid tale, and look, I'll just reference the Disney remake because there are other versions, right? It was intrigued because not only was it attractive, but it was human. It was something coming to like different, and she was always fascinated with human culture, as we saw from her collection, right? But then there were other very important moments that would have developed the affection between that relationship. The amount of care and consideration he shows her. He sees this washed up person, doesn't palm her off to some random village. He takes her into the castle, looks after her and everything like that. And perhaps he might have been a bit encouraged to do that because, wow, she's a looker. But then he is showing affection and attention, and there's opportunity for the relationship just to, when I say progress, for them to see characteristics in the other that they are appreciating. Like, he definitely likes her carefree kind of quirkiness, when she takes the thing that she and snore flat and blow, he laughs his head off, or he chuckles and tries to hold in laughing his head off at it and stuff. And so he's definitely liking characteristics that she has, she likes characteristics he has, and that is actually perfectly natural foundation for a growing relationship. And by the way, historically in the period, marriages happened with less interaction than that, okay? And oftentimes they were bad ones, but ones that were also successful, okay? This is a time when marriage was, the way they approached it was very different, okay? And this is a period tale. And so this isn't problematic in that sense. It's showing a tale. And by the way, love at first sight, right? That does happen, okay? It's romantic, and it should be understood that, it's more the exception than what naturally happens normally between people. But the idea, it is, when we say it's romantic, it has that kind of feel, the romantic feel that is something special about the love at first sight kind of thing, which is why we write stories about it. Yeah. Okay, so she knew nothing about it except the fact that it was a good-looking human, so belittling, that romantic nature of the original tale. This reiteration, reiterated the fallacy that women exist only to be with men.
I understand you all want to be crazy cat ladies, but let me tell you, it's not a good life.
Do you know men really like to be with women as well? Shock horror.
It's kind of biological in a sense, you'd think as well.
The fallacy that women like, and how could you take from the Little Mermaid tale? This is trying to tell you that women only exist to be with men. They have no other value at all except to be with men. Like, what a disgusting, dishonest interpretation of that tale. But that's what they're going with to try and justify their bastardization of a classic, fairy tale. So only exist with men, and that their decisions and hopes and dreams revolve around men.
Okay, you do realize you're doing a story about a fairy tale with a love, like the love story is the story of the fairy tale. And if you don't want that, then why are you doing this story?
And this is such bullcrap, because do you know what a lot of my decisions, hopes and dreams revolved around? My wife and who I picked. Like, it goes both ways. They think, men are not actively interested and they're in the course of their entire lives can rest upon the woman that they end up wanting to marry. But they're trying to think, it's this thing that is forcing women into the thing and takes away and changes their whole life. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is such bullcrap. Holy, this is just dripping with dishonest, like the vile kind of feminist narrative that you see poking up. It's just, okay, hopes and dreams revolve around men. No, they revolve around each other, you absolute brainlet. It's a fallacy that Disney ran with for an embarrassingly long time. Classic romance.
Classic romance,
I mean,
the way societies and families are built.
Prince Eric, he risked his life to slay a dragon for the girl.
No, that's a fallacy right
That's
there.
well, exactly. It's just the woman giving up her life for the man. The man does nothing to sacrifice for the woman in these classic Disney tales at all. Not risking their lives at all. And by the way, even like Maleficent gives Eric a vision of what could happen, that he is kept in imprisonment his whole life. And at the very end of his life, this is like a foretelling of what he still goes and saves her. And she's trying to say it's worthless, but it's showing the fact that this guy would have sacrificed his whole life in imprisonment and still tried to save her. Right? There's actually some awesome heroic elements to the classic Sleeping Beauty, not the remake where they make Eric But the classic one, he's one of the most Chad Disney princes, period. He slays a freaking dragon, people. Look, Sorcerer Dragon still counts. Yeah, that should be like, the Prince Eric movie.
I'm scared because they're doing a live action of that one as well.
They already have, of Sleeping Beauty. It's called Maleficent.
But they're doing another one.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. With the actress who was in, I can't remember. But yeah, they're doing another Sleeping Beauty.
The only Disney remake that's worth a damn is Cinderella, and it's brilliant.
It's true.
The live action
very
remake
lucky with that
Cinderella
one.
is, I don't know what happened, but it's actually better than the animation. I love it. It's so good.
I think it was because it was the first one.
And they actually put in it.
They hadn't quite, it was like the precipice before Disney got super woke. They were at the peak of technology and storytelling, and then it all went down from there.
I have a video on Shadiversity breaking one of the key scenes of the Cinderella remake down in defense of Love at First Sight, because they nailed it so good. Instead of like saying, all these things are problematic and we're diving away from it, the Cinderella remake, they actually lean into it and explore how it can actually happen more validly. And so when the prince first meets Cinderella in that movie, it is so well written and the interactions are so great that you can see them falling in love with each other just from that first conversation. And it's excellently done. And they fall in love with each other with valid, identifiable reasons. You can see what he said there, how she responded, everything like that. They are just like, this person is the person of my dreams that they're realizing in that scene. And I break it down in that video if you want to check it out. It's excellent, truly excellent. Because there is, like the classic love story, there's truths. There are actual truths to these important love stories that the Cinderella one just not only explores, but does better than the animation really well. This one, it has disdain for the source material. It's like, there's this source material problematic. We're correcting all of this crap. And look what they're saying here. This is insane. Now, I don't think this is from someone trying to defend the movie, I think, but would you say Disney would disagree with anything that they're saying here?
No. They'd be like, thank you for your article.
Yes.
Do you want to make the next sequel with us?
Yeah, so however, this new 2023 version shifts gears, and we're here for it. In what's presumed to be the same scene, Ariel's dialogue shifts her action from being just about her love for a man she's never spoken to standing up against prejudice and discrimination. So Triton says, "He's a human, you're a mermaid." Her response now is, "That doesn't make us enemies."
I don't know what to say to this, Shad. It's like... It's underwhelming.
The
it's
original-
bad writing.
The original had the theme that love can conquer all.
Mm.
Now, this isn't about love, it's about fighting prejudice and discrimination. And Triton probably had some valid reasons to distrust humans, you know.
Probably,
they're
yeah.
spearing a lot of fish on their
they're just
boats.
eating their kind.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
I'm sure if there were other Homo sapiens on the earth and they were eating us, we'd be a bit like with them too.
You know? And by the way, Triton, right, in the original, actually is a good reflection of a protective, loving father. Because what does he do in the end, right? Look what he does, right? But he's also, at the beginning, expecting his daughter to fulfill certain responsibilities. She committed to showing up to, you know, like a musical thing. And he laid down rules to protect her, which she broke flagrantly. And so, you know, like he's being a firm father figure that is also able to learn and be charitable and generous as well. And so Triton's actually great in the original.
Yeah.
I wonder how they're going to butcher him as well.
Oh, he's just going to be toxic
Oh my goodness.
and dumb and incompetent.
So then the third one you want to read?
The woman doesn't need saving.
Guess what? In a lot of instances they do. There's a lot of women who get attacked and are in vulnerable positions that would like be so wishing and grateful that there was a man who could come in and save them. Okay? It's the reality that feminists try to deny all the time. Guess what? There is a big strength difference between men and women. And do you know the victims of violent crime between men and women? Who is the vastly higher victim of violent crime out of those two? Can you guess?
Is it, man?
It's men. Because men are vastly more willing to be violent against other men than they are against women. Men are the victims of violent crime way more than women. But when women are the victim of violent crime, right, if it is male perpetrating, right, and because men are stronger, who do they need to protect them?
Men.
Good men.
Yeah.
And so this whole kind of villainization of men wanting to protect women can protect themselves is doing such a disservice. There are times now, we see it on social media, where women get in positions of distress that men are not helping them because they don't want to get Me Too'd or this narrative that you can't. So there was a thing going on Twitter where a woman was in a gym and she was trying to do a bench press and it fell on her chest and she couldn't get up. And there was guys in the background that don't come and help her. And this was but it happened after all these other kind of videos that had risen up of TikTok thoughts filming themselves in gyms and shaming men who just looked at them.
Yeah.
And so
walked by them.
And so that is just encouraging men to women at gyms. Yeah, like they're going to shame and attack me for even looking at you. And you're in a gym. You're wearing fewer clothes than normal. That's tight fitting. Of course, men are going to look at you. You stupid thought. Friggin' hell. And they're there to do that. They want, especially if they're filming, they're there to do it for attention. Right? It's a setup.
One of them, the real controversial one, was that like she was following him around. But she perceived it like, oh, he's here now this time. And then like she goes off live, then goes again. And he's just like, I've got camera footage of just watching me move around the gym, and then she's following me each time to get the camera angles. And so you're not being very secretive about it.
And so can you blame the men for not helping this lady? She set up a camera. They could probably see the camera. So they have no idea if this is going to be a stage or a gotcha or anything. Yeah. That's what you're doing to the world. And this is bad because you need men to help women. Women, you need men to help you in a lot of instances. And guess what? Men need women to help them in the areas in which women excel at, okay? It's usually nurturing, child rearing, and all these things. These are really important stuff. You need that because sometimes we need each other. But this narrative that women don't need men is like, well, guess what? You're just going to be in multiple situations like getting pinned by a heavy, bit of like weight equipment and no one's coming to help you out because you can think crap like this. And I find this is disgusting because I love traditional chivalry. Men open the door for a woman, pull out the seat behind her, everything like that. And by the way, this should be a great litmus test why you should do it, because if they resent that, run away. Don't even pursue anything with... But if you find a girl that appreciates that, okay, first, that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. You don't want them to expect you to treat them better than they're willing to treat you, okay? It needs to be... Is it reciprocated? Because a good relationship, and this is a key to a good relationship, where each person in it wants to treat the other better than they treat themselves. It needs to go both ways. And if you only have it going one way, that's toxic. That's bad, especially if someone is then expecting it and not giving you the treatment back, all right? And that's what thoughts want to do. They want the simps, where they will simp after them and then they treat them like dirt, in return. Do not. Relationships should not, like when the negativity about simping is like when it's one way. No, a good relationship should actually be both simping for each other, okay? And so this modern feminist dog crap is ruining relationships. And it's this type of stuff, because I have people, in my close kind of, circles that do identify as feminists, but they're not these extreme feminists, right? And they don't realize that it's this extremity that's being promoted constantly. Women don't need men. It's like, are you freaking kidding me?
It's a funny thing of like, she doesn't need saving. It's like, hey, what was the point of the movie then? Why is he even there? Like, all the points they're giving, it's like, this is why you shouldn't see this movie because it's going to be so boring because nothing's going to be in it.
Because this is the thing. I get him confused. Eric, is he the Sleeping Beauty one? Or is who's the prince in Little Mermaid?
Is it Eric?
That might be Eric.
I think it might be Eric.
Oh, dang. Maybe I got the Sleeping Beauty one mixed up. Philip is Sleeping Beauty, and this is Eric. That's right. I got it wrong.
Yeah. Prince Eric.
So Philip is the Sleeping Beauty one, and he's the mega chat. He's like legend, slays a dragon. Eric is the Little Mermaid one. He literally does save her. Like, he friggin' gets a sunken ship and pilots it to stab a sea monster. Friggin' Shad as hell. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
They're not going to let him do that.
No.
He's going to be knocked out, and she'll be the one to do it. I bet. And this, men can't save a woman stuff is everywhere in modern media now. Like we saw it in Wheel of Time, like excessively in She-Hulk, where they go out of their way to change the origin story and everything because a man can't save a woman. It's all, and it's, again, it just goes back to that disgusting thing because, like, guess what? Women throughout life will rely on men to protect them. They need that, okay? And men will rely on women for a lot of things as well. And we need that. But this whole thing, oh my gosh, I don't know, like, that's just the headline, right? It's the opposite, actually. The trailer opens with Prince Eric needing to be saved by Ariel. Now, that's the same. Like, Ariel saved, like, Prince Eric when he was drowning at the beginning anyway.
Yeah.
How is that a change? Like, they're saying this is better because it's a change from the original. That's the implication. But that's not a change. Like, what's going on? But I bet they'll change the ending, though.
They will, yeah.
This, of course, is something that has carried over from the animated movie, but we just want to savor it because it's still too rare that movies show men needing to be saved by women.
Have you watched any movies in the past 5 years? Because I think every movie has at least one moment where a woman saves an incompetent man because somehow...
It's happening everywhere. Mandalorian season 3, episode 2.
And I'm terrified of the new Indiana Jones. I thought that whole movie is just going to be her saving him somehow. Somehow she's competent.
That was definitely what was shown in the trailers. It looked like it was going that way. I've heard rumors that they've done reshoots to try and lessen
See, but if they're lessening it, it means it's still going to be a problem.
the emasculinization of Indiana Jones. It's still going to be there, it will be. And like, look at the D&D trailer. They said they went out of their way to emasculate the leading men in it. And in the trailer, it has a woman saving it. It's happening everywhere. Yeah. It's like, oh, it happens so rare.
Are you savor it? It never happens.
Are you high?
Wakanda forever. It's just a whole bunch of women saving.
Oh my goodness. And look, all right, so go number 4. Life beneath the ocean is celebrated.
Oh, is this going to be like a?
Hang on. I'm trying to say, like, there's a whole musical segment celebrating life under the ocean in the first one. Yeah. How's this different? I'm just like, if Ariel wants to be part of our world, then we volunteer to trade places with her because her world looks divine. What? The movie has made sure to bring sea creatures, coral reefs, and the ocean itself to life in a way that honors the waters and every life from within.
I think they ran out of things to list.
They're just reaching for like
the ocean. It's beautiful.
Hang on, who's saying the ocean sucks? I mean, given the preference, I'll choose to live on land. You know why? Because I can't breathe underwater, you moron! It's not to mean I think the ocean's crap.
Also, the ocean's very deep, and there are some scary monsters deep down below we don't even know about. At least in the sky, it's like nothing lives up there.
This is just nonsense.
No, this is them just reaching.
I know. Why is this important? Because we need to hold the ocean in this high regard so that we know the damage that we've been causing it through our human footprints on the planet.
Save this. I knew it. Save the sea turtles. Clean the ocean. Which, look, clean the ocean, fair enough, but...
look, I don't know who they're trying to convince. Who are saying, let's rape the oceans? Maybe large corporations.
Also, I love how they think that watching this movie is going to save the oceans. Go to the cinema, watch Little Mermaid, and then you'll have more effect going to a beach and cleaning up trash.
Yeah, like, I think everyone agrees. Don't throw trash on the beach. Clean up after yourself. But at the same time, you could enjoy a good fish dinner.
Yeah. And again, like you said, it's the big corporations who ruin. They've got more lists.
Yeah, number 5. Well, look, that one was just reached bullcrap.
Yeah.
But number 5, a black Ariel. You need, remember, these are 5 reasons why you should watch just the trailer, let alone the movie. And if you don't, you need to watch it because it has a black Ariel. Like an appeal to, this is an appeal that something is inherently superior because of the color of someone's skin. Treating people differently based on the color of their skin is racist. Like, I don't think there's anything problematic with Chinese, Korean cinema because it's full of Koreans.
No.
It's like certain films based in certain regions will have a bit of a kind of racial consistency usually.
And it usually makes sense in that context too, because it's usually based in that area.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like European history, because they don't have a history that's worth any
it's
regard
always
at
mixed
all.
there. Mixed
Yeah, like that. So we're not getting over this one as a point. Oh, yeah, we know you're not. And neither should you, because it's important. No, it's not.
Please tell me why it's important.
Yeah. Seeing a black Disney princess on screen does so much for the next generation of black girls who will grow up to know that no matter what the world says, they are wow.
They are beautiful, they are capable, and their dreams can come true.
So are they saying that my daughter, who, she's very white, right, can't get those messages out of the Princess Frog one?
No.
Because it has a black princess in it. Are they that racist to think that? Like, they genuinely are. Like, and, that one has it, look, they know this is when Disney was little woke, not full woke, but they certainly wanted the girl boss kind of narrative in it where she wanted to have her own restaurant and stuff like that. But okay, it was there and you knew they did it, but there's still a good message behind that I think I'm happy to get behind, and showing that, I could pursue my dreams and have a business and stuff like that or anything. You're saying that now because the racial difference between my daughter and the character is different, that my daughter can't learn that messaging. This is insane racist crap. All right.
Also, the fact that they need this movie to tell little girls that. Like, their parents can't, their teachers can't, they can't learn it themselves through life. They need this movie.
And if they don't, they will not know that they're beautiful or they're capable or their dreams can come true. That Ariel needed to be black for that. That no girl, so that also includes like Asians, anyone who has like who's, you know, racially different to original Ariel couldn't appreciate the original Little Mermaid and learn these important things. And look, like knowing that they're beautiful, that they care, like this film is just, you know, changing the world. Gosh,
I wonder if it's going to be successful at all the box office. I'm heavily doubting that anything outside of the, you know, LA, in that bubble, anyone's going to want to go see this.
Black women are constantly fighting to be seen, they say. Like, have you seen modern Hollywood?
Again, you're not watching the media that we're having to review.
What? And even then, right, just by the natural kind of cultural, racial makeup of a certain region is going to have a higher representation of people of certain ethnicities based on that. There's a lot of Koreans in Korea, so shock horror, most of the stuff they make have Koreans in it. And so what's the predominant racial makeup in the US? Like, should we be surprised that there would be more white people in US cinema? And there's been black people in US cinema from the very beginning, right? But they're trying to say that, like what? You know, what are they trying to say by this? Because they're basically trying to say that it needs to be equal representation when, if you actually look at the demographics, the country doesn't match that.
They call them minorities for a reason, mostly because there's less of them.
Okay, and so the constantly fighting to be seen is just, especially not in the modern day, that's just, no, okay? And at the end of the day, right, it should be just what the story is should, you know, expected to be. If it's based in, like, Africa, in African history, you would expect them to be have a lot of dark-skinned people, kind of like Wakanda, right? Did anyone bat an eye that you know, T'Challa was black? Or that the country of Wakanda was black?
No.
Because, of course, they're based in Africa, all right? It's insanity, these talking points, really. So they go on to say, you know, they're fighting to be seen, to be recognized, to be treated equally, and time again, they face the worst of the world's challenges. The worst. I have a feeling that there's some families in Ukraine that might object to that. That's going through war.
Yeah, and that's just trying to make, you know,
that this is the reaching, that they actually want to be perceived as victims, and they will exaggerate.
Yeah, they're victimizing themselves.
Exactly. The worst of the world's challenges: famine, war. Are they suffering from? No. Like, the fact that you don't have a black Ariel is the worst of the world's challenges. Holy crap. What's more is that Hollywood often celebrates depictions of black women struggling. Hang on. You do realize that conflict is one of the underpinning themes of storytelling. Fighting against struggle, okay? Like, if you wanted to look at all, you know, stories ever, most of them is going to have the main characters struggling against something, struggling in getting a girlfriend, struggling to overthrow an empire, struggling to find the right, like, look at Pride and Prejudice. Nearly every story has struggle. Are you insane?
That's the point of story. That's why we find it engaging and interesting.
Holy crap. And if we were to take your notion to be correct, that black women are not seen as much in cinema as white characters, right? Then by that logic, the white characters are being depicted struggling more often than the black characters that get depicted. But they're saying whenever Hollywood, you know, depicts a black woman, it's always with them struggling.
Usually, like, everyone's struggling in the show.
Yeah,
and if they weren't struggling, it would be a really bloody, boring movie or TV show.
Yeah, and
if they were just getting everything they wanted.
And do you think this black Ariel isn't going to be struggling against something in this film?
Can you imagine if she wasn't? She just gets legs and then she sees Eric and then saves him. That's the end of the movie.
Okay, so they just talk about some, referencing other stuff, struggling to be recognized, stuff like that. And then they conclude, so we're ecstatic that Halle Bailey is Ariel, that Zendaya is MJ in the recent Spider-Man movies, that Yara Sahidi is Tinkerbell.
Yes, it's funny too that they say they are that many represented in Hollywood, but let us represent give you a long list of all these you say there's no evidence and then you give us the evidence.
Oh, but it's happening everywhere.
Yeah,
what is wrong with you? And so they're celebrating race changes for the sake of race because they're racist and think that black people can't identify with white people. Okay, that's what they're saying. When in reality, there's been characters all throughout, cinema and stuff of multiple racial backgrounds, and people have enjoyed them. Good stories, everything. Blade is the first Blade movie, awesome. Got into it heaps, right? And there are so many characters, and so this notion is just nonsense. And so. Alrighty, that's the article. That is the article.
Let's see how chat's doing.
Alrighty. That's an interesting stat. I don't know what happened then. We're looking at the numbers. For some reason, maybe it was a glitch. But anyway, so we'll start to wrap up and we'll go through the super chats. Get to hang out with you guys a bit more. So let's bring up the super chats for a bit. And while I'm doing that, Nathan!
Yes.
Say something.
Okay, great question. See, I'm not as good as Shad at doing this, just filling the void with my talking.
What do you think about coconuts?
Coconuts?
Yeah, coconuts.
I like coconuts. You know what's funny when we did... What test did we do? There was those really bad coconuts that we got from the supermarket. I remember we did a knife cut test.
Oh, yeah, no, it was...
They were all off.
I've never eaten an off coconut before. That was... feral.
And I understood why they were on sale then when I went to buy them. I was like, that's why. Because they were off coconuts and they reeked. They smelt bad.
All right. So I got the super chats up. Knight James II for $10 says, hey guys, glad to hear that the book was merely delayed and not lost in the mail. Can't wait to read my signed copy. Stay on watch, gentlemen. Yes, in case anyone didn't know, there is a second chance campaign for the graphic novel on Kickstarter. Unfortunately, ran into delays with the printer and stuff. Silver lining was we had time to give those people who missed out an opportunity to grab it, because I got messages and emails saying is there a way I can get it? And so now you do. Now you can grab it. And working hard with the printers to get that underway. But check it out on Kickstarter, Shadow the Conqueror, to grab yours if you haven't already. And also, thank you for the super chats. Do you want to take the next one?
Which one? What are we up to?
So,
I was going to make it really big because I'm blind.
It scrolled up to the beginning again. So, there's a TMNT. Okay, so that was that one there. And so we're up to Tatsu Sama.
Tatsu Sama for... I'm going to move over this way. For 5 chef. It's not Trek, but is actually good. Greetings from Switzerland. Talking about Picard.
I would consider it the most Trek thing we've seen. What they overcome the issues in creative and it's not like, okay, so I've heard people say that it's more like a movie Trek than it is classic
TV
Trek,
show. Okay,
where it's a bit more, I guess, when I say action focused, not necessarily fighting, but things happen and conflict and all that stuff. I like both. I friggin' love First Contact. And so, but I get what you're saying. Where it's not necessarily the classic kind of intellectual, exploring strange aliens and the things happening every episode thing. Yeah. So, Waffle for 30 of a currency I can't recognize says, don't mind me, just here to donate to you. To donate to you to fight the birds. P.S. Shad, it seems like you growing your hair is paying off. Looks like you passed or about to the awkward hair length stage. Huzzah!
Huzzah indeed!
Good news! I can do the whip. I can headbang. Sabaton, Last Stand. Friggin', that's a headbanging song.
Next one is from Abdululio?
Abdulio.
For 10 USD, the previous heads of the show no longer care for it, so they hand it over to what they saw as a nobody to finish what they moved on to. It just happened that he was a Star Trek fan. This was a one-time thing.
But also, I love it. They thought he was a nobody, and then he just whips out with a lower budget the best,
season of Picard,
or just of Star Trek we had in ages, just showing up in the most embarrassing way. These hacks that have been controlling it. Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. And if Paramount was smart, they would learn from it.
Yeah, they would.
They would.
But they're not going to. They gave us Halo.
All right, so Alfred B228 for $10 says, 2 complaints I have with Star Wars right now is that the effectiveness of blasters is now not consistent. Agree. And no one seems to know how to fight effectively with guns. Yeah. It's been such a dog crap thing in Star Wars at the moment. And we really saw that in Mando Season 3, Episode 1. He's trying to shoot this robot thing. And I think he hits him sometimes and it does nothing. He took out that same robot with a blaster bolt to the head, one shot. And now suddenly it's not doing anything.
Yeah. I think the same thing happened in Boba Fett too. The inconsistencies with guns and weapons is... Or the fact that they were bounty hunters and they didn't use guns. They're like, let's use democracy. And they used democracy in the end of this. Boba Fett gets me so mad.
It's insane.
Okay, the next one is from, is it Senpai Senfrance for 100 USD.
$100.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, loved your reaction to my name last time. I'm the first Dan black belt in Kyokushin Karate. So my rank is Senpai.
Aha.
Oh, very cool. I think the reason why movies aren't as good as they used to be is because they make the main character a victim, not a hero. Also, high five for being LDS. That was like a high five.
Sorry.
Go look at the elbow.
Yeah, it's a bit better. Yes, you're right. They want them to be, victim because
they're not heroes anymore. They're just like, oh, look how hard my life is.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the super chat. MW Balls for $10 says, writers have no concept of travel time. Yes. That fighter has no cargo space. Yes. No living space. Correct. No passenger space. Correct. Probably has to refuel on every planet. It is not a viable vehicle for his lifestyle. Completely agree.
Yeah.
I still like it. I like zippy fighters. What he needed, right, was a bigger ship with where it can dock inside.
That's what I thought too. Mm-hmm. That would have been way cooler.
Something that could be slow, clunky, but has heavy gear shielding. And so whenever it gets under attack, that thing can rely on just the nutcase shields it has, and then he gets out in the fighter and takes them all out.
Yeah, that's what you want.
And the Grogu could be a little turret on the heavy clunky thing and just, You're right. You're absolutely right. Alfred B228. Did I say that one? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Another one from Alfred. Thank you.
Alfred, thank you. For 10 USD, I like the Mandalorian helmet look, but I can see no way for it to achieve a functional seal. I was going to agree with that. Also, there's no reason to use a jetpack when you have repulsors.
So, repulsors like anti-gravity repulsor. Yeah. And they have repulsor technology.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted to get into the inconsistency of Star Wars world building, oh boy, yeah.
That's why I don't like to look into Star Wars too much for that stuff. I look in for the storytelling, not the actual world building.
Yeah, because those inconsistencies, they're in there with the original trilogy too. It gets worse when they try to expand it clunkily with the Jedi philosophies and midichlorians.
Sorry, George.
Aliquis Voltasis for $20 says, Gavin McInnes. Wow. That's guy telling fiction parables. So talking about Jesus Christ, telling fictional parables, and he lives in his mother's basement. Read and write non-fiction scrolls only, my dude. What does he think he is? God himself? ? Do you know what happened on Friday Night Tights?
No, I don't. They go for a long time, Shad, and usually it's my Saturday. I'm usually asleep.
I understand. Gavin McInnes is he's a big provocateur and is a right-leaning commentator and stuff like that. And he has a reputation, and he was on Friday Night Tights, and like I thought it was really awesome having him on because I thought it'd be funny. And I guess I wasn't as familiar enough with his antics or thing because he went over the line, and he was really crude. But, you know, I'm just there for when it got really crude. You could see me. I was just like, oh, this is... But other times I was having fun with him, right?
Yeah.
And there were actually fun jokes. And a lot of the things, like a lot of the trolling, I could tell he wasn't really serious. He's just he has a shtick. He has this grumpy old person shtick and stuff. And I like that we got to push back against the thing because he's trying to say that, you know, video games are infantile and only children play and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he actually does believe that, but at the almost half, and then the other half is just to troll and go on with his shtick.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's trying to say that, you know, being into video games is infantile and stuff. And then he picks up his mic and farts into it at one point, talking about acting like a child, right? And then he pulls out a Wizinator. Do you know what a Wizinator is?
No.
It's a fake penis.
Okay.
But it looks real enough.
Okay.
And he pretended that he couldn't hold it in and was like, oh, I'm peeing, I can't help it. And he moved off. Now, that's what happened, right? And he got kicked after that, rightly so. And I'm of two minds of it, okay? One, look, it was actually a massive scumbag move to do. That has the potential to get a channel, have a strike, even taken down and everything. When you're on someone's stream, dude, no.
Yeah.
The other side of that is like, it is so crude and inappropriate. Like, I wouldn't respect anyone who'd do it anyway. The other side of it, though, is that it's the type of crude kind of male joking around that guys might do with their friends. And I think that's called Gavin's kind of shtick, the whole farting into a mic, everything like that. And you'd think he would know better, and I think he does. And so I'm not sure this isn't an excuse, because I think that he did it because he was basically feeling like he's just hanging out with some blokes, even though there were girls in the chat, and he would just joke around like he does joke around with blokes. And the inappropriate humor comes out with, you know, like I did really dumb things when I was a teenager with my mates as well.
Yeah.
But I was a teenager then, and I found this really interesting. So what I can share on this, right? And I'm not sure if we're going to talk about it on Friday Night Tights or anything, so I can mention it here, right? Is the notion of childishness versus childlikeness, to be childlike and stuff, because it actually opened up a larger conversation about this disdain that does exist in the conservative movement to pop culture. That if you're into comic books, why your kids are into comic books, grow up, get out and stuff. And it actually is more pervasive in the conservative movement, and it's had detrimental effects to the result where that conservatives have basically left pop culture to the wolves, where the insane left thieves now have control of it, and we have really inappropriate stuff in media that's targeted towards children. And so it's really important that adults are into this stuff, because then they can try and secure and protect it for the next generation and make it for the next generation. And so this disdain that you do see, even not like provocateur conservatives, even like really respectable conservatives like Matt Walsh and stuff, saying that, you know, grow up and stop collecting action figures or whatever, right? Is such an issue in the culture war, because it's conservatives basically giving up.
Yeah.
Because pop culture is so insanely important for forming the minds of children. That's why they're left targeted, because they know they want to target the kids. And I think it comes from a misunderstanding of scripture. Okay? The scripture, it's from Paul or something, where it's like, when I was a child, I thought as a child, acted as a child, but when I grew up, I put away childish things, or things, right? And this is the misunderstanding, because I think the conservatives, when they hear that, they are associating it with like hobby interests that you have as a kid, when that's actually talking about acting like a child in terms of being childish, your behavior. Because the flip side to this, the Savior literally said, you must humble yourself and be as a child, or you will not inherit the kingdom of God. And so childishness is the thing that's bad, and you have to grow up and move on from it. But being childlike is an essential quality in Christianity. And the childlike qualities that adults are actually told in Scripture to emulate is humility, being willing and able to submit to your father. But I think there's more to that. I think also being willing to forgive. Children are so ready to forgive and move on from things in most instances, right? Also having like eyes of wonder and appreciation for the world around them, okay? And I think those are really great childlike qualities that every adult should never let go of, okay? And I think there's scripture to back it up. And so having an interest, right, in like comic books and everything like that, and people who criticize it as childishness don't understand the scripture, what it's actually saying, right? Because Gavin acted more childish than anyone else on the panel, right? And we're all into this nerd stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And I find it so interesting about where they would then draw the line as to what's kiddie and what's not.
Yeah.
Because I look at sports and I see people fully into sports, and to me that's as nerdy an interest as me being into video games.
Yeah.
Okay? And they can get crazy into it. They memorize all the players and the things and past games and stuff. But he's into sport. That's not childish, right? And same with like, what do they define the line? Like, video games are bad. So what, do you think chess is fine then? Chess is a game.
Tabletop stuff is Monopoly childish? Is
yeah,
it not?
yeah.
Is that
Well,
okay?
Is Monopoly bad, but chess is okay? And then they're like, chess is tactical and stuff like that. Do you have any idea how tactical video games can get?
Yeah. There's a reason we have esports now.
Exactly. And so it comes off as so hypocritical from these conservatives and stuff that are just like, stop being into childish things. When you watch movies, don't you?
Yeah.
You play sports. No, you're as much of a nerd as anyone else. You just have this biased standard where my interests are adult and yours are childish.
Yeah.
It's bullcrap.
It's funny because they'll be like, why are you collecting comic books and like action figures as they play with their train sets and like their coins? And it's in human nature to have interests of these things.
Yeah, like model building a train set, that's adult and that's fine. But model building Warhammer, that's kiddie.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's a generational thing. Like,
yes.
Grandparents can have their doll houses and their old clocks and whatever, but this new generation with their comic books and their video games and their anime and all that, it's...
And the other side of it, right, which is just shows how uninformed they are on the topic, they lump all pop culture into one bag, kiddie bag, where Gavin was almost saying, what, you're into Spider-Man, saying, hey, shoot, things like, there's Spider-Man media that's made for kids more, and then there's Spider-Man media that handles really mature, like engaging subject matter that can be appreciated by both. And then there's pop culture media that kids should not watch because it's graphic, violent, and deals with really mature subjects, right? There's comic books that kids should not read. There's video games that kids should not play. And what world do you think that's child-targeted media?
Yeah.
But they're so uninformed on it that they think it's all, video games are all for kids. Holy crap! Have you heard of Hitman? Like,
Hitman, GTA, Call of Duties, Battlefields.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, there's kind of my afterthoughts of the Friday Night Tights Gavin McInnes arc, and yeah, I just look back, I laugh, and all the guys have taken it, mostly in good humor. We all know he stepped over the line, right? Massively. It's weird. I don't think there was anything malicious in it, and he was just trying to be an edgelord, right? But at the same time, he knows the system. He should know that has damaging potential to the channel, and Okay. So thank you for the super chat. Took us on a bit of a tangent. Chayort? I'm sorry I can't pronounce that. But for a $50 super chat, thank you, says, just want to say thanks Night Watch. Because of you, I learned Wheel of Time is not just crap. Amazon show. Yes, absolutely. Currently on book 4. Oh, I love book 4. I love it. Perrin's arc in book 4, especially how it's like book 4 is like my favorite. You and Drinker have also inspired me to try and write my own novel. Keep on keeping on, Knights. Thank you, man. Really appreciate that.
That's awesome. All right, next one. I'll just scroll up a bit more. Next one is from
Mark of Reality.
Mark of Reality for $5 USD. Hello, fellas. Good show from your favorite Florida criminal defense attorney.
Well, thank you. If we ever need criminal defense.
Yeah, in Florida, we'll let you know.
And in Florida. Thank you. We do appreciate it. Taker610 for $5 says, Disney still hasn't learned that realistic CG animals, raised voices, can't emote. That's how they were characters in the animated movie. It's LK19? I don't know the reference, but I agree about that. They made them too realistic. They should have given some slightly more animated faces, almost like Finding Nemo. They could have made it work.
They could have. Also, I know a fan. They did a fan version of Flounder, and it is nightmare fuel. And they're saying people actually thought it was from the movie, and either way, it's not good.
I've seen a still from Flounder though, and he looks awful.
He just looks dead, like a dead fish that's just like,
serio. That nobody guy for $5 says, I love Shad's book. Awesome, thank you. It had such a great world and magic system. I backed the comic, but is a book sequel coming? So I wrote the first book as mostly a standalone with sequel potential that I think I do want to pursue in the future, but it's not right away. I'm actually working on a new book in a completely different universe, and it's medieval fantasy, and I'm really excited, and I've been able to work more on it recently. And so I'm back in, we'll see. But I'm excited to get that one done. I'm halfway through it, and I hope to get more through it.
Good.
As I go.
Yes. The next one is from Nelson Nuther for 100 Canadian dollars.
I think it's Nelson, not Veet.
Not Veet. Sorry, am I?
100 Canadian dollars. Thank you, man.
Your commentary and breakdowns are more fun to listen than the actual shows. Your deconstruction of the Wheel of Prime, nice, inspired me to read the series, which I'm just starting for the second time today. Wow. Keep fighting the Dark One of Disney.
Oh, we will.
Yes.
We will. And so we have things coming up. There's like a couple of movies coming out that, so what, D&D is coming out, Shazam is coming out, The Flash is coming out,
Indiana Jones,
Mermaid.
2023 is looking pretty good.
Oh boy. Thank you, and we're really glad you appreciate it. And the support is amazing. Cybot 100 for 5 GBP. I just watched the Little Mermaid trailer and saw the trailer to H2O. OMG, Little Mermaid hair colors change in the trailer that I'm going back to 1984 splash.
Yes. The next one is from Ken Henderson for 10 USD. Just wanted to say thank you for all of your content. I appreciate your hard work and fighting the good fight.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
I hit my mic. We appreciate you. Thank you. And 2 from Cyborg T100. I think I pronounced it better that time. 2 GBP each. Thank you. By the way, Statue Little Mermaid, Copenhagen, Denmark. Oh, might have to give it a... So Copenhagen, Denmark. That's
Denmark. Okay.
Denmark. But screw that cultural heritage. One of their classic tales. Let's just utterly bastardize that for our own agenda. But oh my goodness, if you do it to any other race, you're a biggest, basically. And he also, in his next super chat, says, conspiracy, real sightings, mer people in Indonesia. You know, there was, I'll let you refresh this. There was like some fraud mermaid, things that people made. Have you seen those?
I haven't seen them, no.
Where they got like a monkey torso and sewed it to a fish base, and they found, and it was like little monkey, and they found mermaids and stuff.
Oh.
Fooled a number of people back in the day. And Terrell Brister for $2 says, love y'all's video, JW. I don't know. Yeah.
Abbreviations are not my strong suit.
What's Nathan's channel?
If you just type in Nathan.
Just wondering.
I think
it's just wondering.
Took a while. If you just type in Nathan, indie game developer, it'll come up.
Check it out.
I've got videos, lots of videos about making games. The next one is from Jun Wong.
Jun
Wong for 20 Australian dollars, which I'm assuming is Australian. Hello. Ship too small for a bounty hunter lifestyle. You'll be surprised how little space you need. I currently live and work in a tiny 3-door hatchback, but you must show how it is done and space-saving method. Good job.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It would be cramped. They've abandoned the amount of time hypertravel should take. Sometimes it should take a week, and being cramped in a space like that for a week's travel non-stop.
Yeah.
Whoa, he would have to have a toilet built into the seat. I'm not sure it can recline, and he even has less room than a hatchback would.
Yeah.
I think you have more room in your hatchback than that, and so
it's a pilot seat, and in the back for Grogu, you've got nothing else.
Yeah.
So, and then we also got someone else who did a super chat, but there was no comment.
Tomorrow Lad donates $9.
Sometimes it happens when they want to say something, but then they forget how to. YouTube's a bit annoying like that, but we'll just refresh once. No, that's it.
That's the most recent one. So, guys, we are coming to the end of the stream now. Thank you everyone for joining us. This was fun. We got through a lot, more than I was. We went deep in sometimes.
Lots of topics covered today.
And it was great to have everyone join us. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. So which button do I? You're good. You're better with the buttons.
I mean, I made it so you just press the outro button when you're ready.
Oh, so just that. Okay.
Just the outro button.
So I appreciate you all. See you next time.
That's the intro button.
Oh.
You want to do the outro one.
See why you're better at this? And as always, stay on watch.